Do you know what it means to rest? I mean, to really rest. If I'm honest, I think it's one of the things that I find most difficult, and there are all sorts of reasons why, I guess. There's my personality, there's the open-ended nature of my job, maybe a need to feel valued by others, even a temptation to feel that my worth comes in the things I do rather than in who I am. Maybe you feel some of those same things too, or have done at some point. We live in a culture, don't we, where the narrative is so often about achieving status through careers, excelling in the world of sports or entertainment, gaining vast amounts of wealth and property. Consciously or subconsciously, so many people are driven to keep busy, to climb the career ladder, to constantly push themselves in any number of ways for any number of reasons. Maybe it's the only way some of us can find to feel good about ourselves. Add to this a desire for everything to be instant, and there being a huge choice of ways that we can spend our time, it is no wonder that many people can end up exhausted or burnt out. Slowing down, it seems to me, is just essential. And it can be so hard. If our identity is rooted in what we do more than in who we are, it does make us particularly vulnerable. Now, one of the best books out there at the moment on this is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And he quotes Christian teacher Dallas Willard, who responded to Christian leaders talking to him about pressure and busyness. They asked him, "What do I need to do to become the me I want to be?" And his reply was simple. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Now, this isn't just good advice for those of us who find ourselves naturally driven. This is for everyone. It's an essential part of growing in emotional freedom and in spiritual vitality. So we need to find real rest on a regular basis. But what is rest? Does it mean vegging out with a box set in front of the TV? Does it mean treating ourselves to a day at a health spa? Could it mean sitting and reading a book? Well, yes, it could mean those things, and it could mean many, many more things some of the time too. But it doesn't necessarily equate with complete inaction, with doing absolutely nothing. Though again, sometimes that's exactly what it might mean for us. I've been thinking recently about another related word, and that word is recreation. And the root of recreation is recreation. And that's all about being remade, isn't it? It's all about us giving time and space to be re-energized, filled up, restored to what or perhaps who we could be. And that's why I talk such a lot about developing habits and rhythms for the whole of life. The Community of Soul Friends Personal Way of Life is there to help you do just that. And the course, A Rhythm for Real Life, is an opportunity to really apply this to your life as it really is. So do give it a try. The earliest Christians were called followers of the way. In other words, followers of the way of Jesus. Rest or recreation will look different to different people, but one thing it shouldn't look like is work. Now, I guess that's fairly straightforward if we're employed to do a certain role. But what if we're between jobs? What if we're retired? What if we don't have anything that we could describe as paid work? Well, we need to work out what we consider to be work tasks for us. Caring for our family, running a home, caring for someone else in some kind of way. These are the kinds of things that we will need some rest from. And all this leads me on to a gift which God has given us, a gift which many of us have perhaps never fully unwrapped. I'm talking about Sabbath. The theologian Walter Brueggemann wrote a book just a few years ago called Sabbath as Resistance. And in it he writes this: in and around the contemporary context of the rat race about anxiety, The celebration of Sabbath is an act of both resistance and alternative. It is resistance because its invisible insistence is that our lives are not defined by production and commodity goods. So let me suggest to you that one of the most powerful antidotes to the idol of work and productivity and busyness is to do exactly what God said thousands of years ago: to honour the Sabbath day by setting it apart as a holy day of rest. Now, in some ways, that might sound straightforward. But think about it. When was the last time you took 24 hours away from work? From anything related to work, whether it's paid or unpaid? I think it's a pretty tall order for most of us because we just don't live that way. When was the last time you switched off your laptop, didn't check email, social media or your phone for a whole day? When was the last time you were so well organised that you didn't have to do any jobs around your home for 24 hours? How many times does someone ask how we're doing and we reply, "I'm busy"? Now, what we're really saying there, I think, is something about value. When we say that, we're measuring our value in terms of activity above all else. Yes, there are stages in our lives when which will feel just so full and perhaps even overwhelming. If you're a parent with young children, life has additional challenges, and so it might when we're in the position of caring for other people of any age. But I do wonder sometimes if many of us are busier than we actually need to be. It's certainly worth exploring that for all of us, isn't it? Are we driven by the need to validate ourselves by what we do? Are you? If we are, we're going to find ourselves doing many, many things, and not all of them will be necessary, and not all of them will be good. Perhaps God is looking at us and he's saying, look, you really don't have to do that. There really is another way to live. To practice Sabbath is actually to say, I am going to resist all that. I really am so much more than what I do. It's to find our rest. It's to find our purpose. It's to find our identity supremely in God. And in fact, the very act of practicing it shows that we understand the world will continue to turn with us or without us. Those of us who are parents or grandparents don't love our children or grandchildren because they are particularly productive in some way, do we? We love them because of who they are. We love them because we love them. So to do Sabbath is to create space for God to communicate that deep truth to us. We are loved by him simply because we are. And like everything with God, Sabbath isn't something that we earn. It's a gift to us, a gift for our well-being. So to practice Sabbath then literally means to stop or to cease. It goes right back to the account of creation in Genesis, of God working for 6 days and resting for one, taking time on that seventh day to delight in everything that he had made. In fact, in Exodus 31, verses 16 and 17, we read this: "The Israelites are to observe the Sabbath, celebrating it for generations to come as a lasting covenant. It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and one was refreshed." I think God is leading by example here. And notice that we're told human beings were created on the sixth day, and on the seventh day was the Sabbath. Rest was how we started out our first day on planet Earth. And that, of course, became an established pattern for God's people, and it's laid out in the Ten Commandments. It became a key part of the distinctive faith of the Jewish people. There were obvious physical benefits and time to recharge emotionally, spiritually, and relationally too. At the time of Jesus, some such as the Pharisees, a particular group in the religious establishment, had made the Sabbath nothing but a kind of religious duty with a whole list of laws to keep. But Jesus himself encouraged a return to the original purpose of the Sabbath. He said, look, Sabbath was made for people, not people for the Sabbath. In other words, that principle of one day's rest is a gift from the Creator to his creation. It's been given to us for our good. It was always meant to be a vital part of our weekly rhythm, not a rule to be kept. Now let me be honest with you here. I do not find this easy, and I know I don't get it right some of the time. For me, it's an ongoing, developing thing, and it's something I'm always working on and probably always will be. But I am starting to see it not as a burden, not as just another thing that I have to plan and do, but actually as more of an invitation to delight in the good things in life and in God himself. And let me tell you, it's taken me some time to get to that realization. Don't expect to learn to really rest quickly. Be patient with yourself. It'll take some time, but it will be worth it. So the principle seems to be then working from a place of rest rather than just collapsing at the end of the week and being forced to do nothing so that we can just about function the next week. And it's not just the time to stop one day a week to two. I'm learning to develop more of a spirit of restfulness that comes from seeking to stay close to God through the week, finding short times of Sabbath even on a very full day. So it's a principle too, something we can work into the whole rhythm of our lives. Times of rest each day, intentionally planned and sought out, 24 hours in a week. Rest over the course of a year in terms of retreats and holidays and so on. All times of recreation. All times when we establish who we are and what is truly important before we go about the tasks which we really have to do. Now, of course, there's lots more we could say. There are plenty of books which go much deeper into this, and I can suggest them to you if you'd like to. And the Rhythm for Real Life course will help us all in a practical way to establish a healthy rhythm. But let's just spend a few moments now thinking about how we could actually do it. Because it isn't just a mental exercise, it's not just something to think about. It is something we can actually learn to build into our lives, something which can bring us much greater freedom. Now there's a handout that you can download from the church website, and that gives you lots of ideas for Sabbath practice. But let me just say for now, there are 3 common variations of doing Sabbath. There's the traditional Jewish Sabbath from 20 minutes before sundown Friday night to the same time Saturday late afternoon. And that might work well for some people who are especially busy on Sundays with church activities. Quite a few church ministers do it that way. There's the Lord's Day Sabbath from the Sunday morning or sometimes late Saturday night through until bedtime on Sunday. And that works best for most people. But then there's the midweek Sabbath, any day during the week. That works best for people with unusual or sporadic work schedules when they have perhaps a midweek day off. If it's possible, it's good to establish a regular rhythm of Sabbath on the same day each week, but if it's not, don't worry. Try to establish practices which could work on different days. Life isn't straightforward sometimes. It's good to experiment, to try different things. And our patterns may well change during certain periods of our lives too. That's fine. Some people find it helpful to mark the beginning and ending of the Sabbath. Something simple like light a candle, read a psalm, pray a prayer, have a mindful meal. Take a look at the handout for more ideas on all this. And then you may ask, well, how do I spend the day itself? Well, the crux of it is to fill our days with activities that are life-giving for our souls. To begin to transition from entertainment, from TV and social media, from shopping, and perhaps going out to activities that deeply connect us to Jesus and his rest. Here are just a few examples of traditional activities that might mark what we do on a Sabbath. Eating a meal, singing, worshipping with our church community, going for a walk, napping, reading, spending time alone with God, spending time with family, spending time with friends, spending some time just seeking out things to be thankful for. Now that's only a beginning, and it's not a to-do list. There really is not a to-do list for the Sabbath. There are no oughts, there are no shoulds. There's just a few things that people might find restful and restorative. So look, here's the thing to remember. Try to adapt your day to your personality, your preferences, your stage of life, and however it is you best connect with God. Time in nature, walking the dog, playing with your kids or grandkids, getting lost in a good novel, whatever it might be. There is a sense in which keeping the Sabbath is actually an act of trust. Stopping from work for that period of time, taking a little Sabbath most days, building a rhythm of rest into our year is a sign that we trust God. It's acknowledging that not everything depends on us and that we can trust God when we rest and when we sleep. He really can take care of the world without us. To practice Sabbath then is to acknowledge there is a Creator and that we are the created. Again, this is where having a God-orientated way or rhythm of life can be tremendously healthy and freeing for us, as well as honouring to God. You know, I do think it's one of our greatest needs as Christians in the Western world today. There really is a freedom and a peace there which some of us haven't even scratched the surface of yet. So look, to do Sabbath is an invitation from God to take the day, to take some time to feed your soul in His presence. Do take a look at the Rhythm of Real Life course. Do take seriously the idea of building a balanced, God-centered way of life. I'm continuing to learn how this works best for me. So I invite you all to join me. Join me in this journey. Join me in working out how God wants to bring rest, recreation, and restoration into your life.